Hello, can I speak with Lenny, please?
Yeah, this is me.
Lenny, hi, this is Robert Cavuto of Metal Rules. How are you today?
Doing pretty good.
I look forward to speaking with you. Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, no problem.
So the remaster of the CD Into the Mirror Black of the 30th Anniversary Edition sounds fantastic. It's a really great offering for your fans.
Yeah, it was kind of a long time coming. We've always wanted to do it and get it done. And I know there's been some other releases out there. I know there was like a dual disc release out there that claimed they remastered it. I don't think they did.
Yeah.
But this one was definitely remastered and done very well.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought it was really pretty good. Really well done. What's fascinating is tell me a little bit about the story of the day that you received the 2-inch master of the live show, and who sent it to you, how you got it.
Yeah, basically our management at the time, back when we played that concert in Reseda, was a company called Strike Force, and our manager, Mike Zotto, somehow he came up with the tapes. I don't know. We didn't really even know or think about the fact that they still existed. And when Epic put that out as sort of a promo disc back in 1990, I think it was kind of like promo for radio. It had a few live songs on it and one studio song on there. And they didn't really ask us about it or anything, or there was no talk about the mix or anything like that. So it just kind of came out however they presented it. So when I found out that Mike was going to, actually I don't even know if he told me he was going to send them to me. He just sent them to me and said, hey, something showed up at your house, blah 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 blah, and I wasn't even really sure what it was. I opened them up, and sure enough, there's two giant 2-inch reels. And sure enough, it was the entire concert. So it was kind of nice to have, because really, a lot of the record companies, your master tapes can disappear. I'm sure they keep them somewhere, but they're probably in some, vault, somewhere underground or something like that. And, there's probably millions of them. And, trying to track something like that down would have been impossible, because we actually inquired about Mirror Black 2-inch as well, for the studio version of it. But, that was pretty much a dead end. So it was a good thing that we got it. We got the 2-inch of the live recording, because that way we could, do what we got to do, mix it and remaster it and all that stuff, and put it out. So it was a good thing.
Was that the impetus for starting this whole process of the 30th anniversary?
We talked about it before I even had the live stuff. We always talked about being able to remaster Mirror Black and maybe add some demos. And then once we found out we had access to the live recordings as well, that just kind of was icing on the cake.
Yeah, it's a nice offering. I talked to a bunch of people like yourself. They find these old tapes in the vault. Did you have to bake the tapes or do anything funky like that to get them to work and play?
Yeah. In fact, I took them all in at the same time. I had also found Inception, which was stored in my barn, and it was a really nasty old. The top of my barn is kind of messed up. It's leaking, and I found them in a bin, and they were kind of waterlogged, and it was kind of a nightmare.
Oh wow!
So I had those both around the same time, and I took them in to get them digitized, and that's exactly what they did. They had to make them because, I guess what happens is part of the process, it kind of bakes the mylar or the backing or something back on, because you can actually see this happen sometimes when you put one of those reels in a tape machine. You can see little pieces and particles kind of fly off of it. Even on newer tapes or tapes that are ancient. But I guess that's just part of it. But I guess it's even worse on tapes that have been sitting around. You literally, a lot of times on a tape that's been sitting around for a long time, if you open them up, sometimes they'll just kind of crumble. So you got to be really careful.
No, I get it. Tell me about the unreleased studio demos. Tell me about how they came about. Were they in a vault at one point? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, we had basically we just had kind of an analog version of those hanging around, and those were recorded by Howard Benson. When we first met Howard Benson, he was kind of sent up to us to see what he could do with us. The record company wasn't really sure what to do next with Sanctuary, so they were like, "Yeah, let's throw Howard Benson at him and see if he can whip him into shape." I mean, whatever. We're going to do whatever we did. And it turned out good. But he came up, and that was our first outing with Howard. We spent a weekend with him, and he went over some of the songs we were writing, Mirror Black, Future Tense, and another version of I'm Insane. And we kind of just went, and went through them all, and he kind of gave us his ideas of, verse length and stuff like that. So, we tried it. We tried to listen, and that was what came out. And they're actually pretty decent demos. We did a pretty good job. So that demo is actually kind of what saved the record deal, because the record company was kind of at a point where I think they felt music was changing a little bit, and I don't know if they were all in on Sanctuary anymore. And after we did that demo and sent it to them, they were all in again. So it was great.
That saved it. How come you never formally completed those songs? Well, some of them, the one.
Yeah, you mean I'm Insane? Why did it never happen?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird because we all like that song, but we just kind of felt like it was a little different for some reason. We gave it 2 shots and kind of changed it up a little bit, and it was fun to play and all that, but we kind of felt like it was maybe too different than all the other songs that were going to go on Mirror as well. So, it's kind of a nice little thing to have, for future things like this.
Yeah. My editor was excited about the release. I was excited about the release. What do you think this means to your fans who have been waiting for a really good quality version, and then, of course, to hear the live show?
Well, yeah, I hope it's the answer to a lot of people's wishes. Because we hear it a lot. That people ask us about. Are you guys going to remaster Refuge or Mirror or whatever? We hear that. And, I get asked about the live concert all the time, because a lot of people got a hold of that promo Black Reflections. I mean, you can get it on eBay or, somebody's, always seems like it's always for sale somewhere. So a lot of people wanted kind of the official, full show and everything. And I always kind of tease that, maybe someday if we got around to it or could find it, it would happen. And it finally did.
No, that's fantastic. Are you content with the public's perception of your band within thrash and metal history?
Yeah, we were big fans of thrash. We were also big fans of, all kinds of other stuff. I mean, we liked a lot of 70s, music and 70s rock, and, loved stuff like Aerosmith and Boston and UFO and stuff like that. And, I think that we're not, I don't know if I would necessarily consider us just a thrash band. I know at the beginning, that's kind of where it seemed like it was coming from for the most part. And we kind of made a conscious effort to really make it, a well-known fact that we weren't just a thrash band on Mirror Black. And that was we always try and make our record sound different from record to record, and we love thrash, we like our thrash roots and everything, but I think Mirror Black was a little bit more than that. So we kind of like to think of it as thinking man's metal, and so yeah.
It was a magical piece, a magical CD that lives in time. It's always nice. Tell me about the diversity of the band. Like you mentioned, you try and make your album sound each a little different, a different painting on a canvas. Tell me about that approach.
Yeah, I know. It was kind of conscious at the same time, but I think there's also that just sort of natural progression, and I think that as musicians, we've been on tour for quite a while for Refuge Denied, and we became better musicians, and we were influenced by all kinds of different things, and also life experiences, and I think it just sort of happened, and we liked the fact that it was happening that way too. So it was natural, but welcome at the same time.
Do you think you're a better songwriter now than you were back then in the 90s?
Wow, yeah, that's a good question. I feel like some of our new stuff is really cool, and I think every artist does. It's like they always like their newest stuff, and I'm a big fan of The Year the Sun Died. It's actually, in a weird way, it's kind of my favorite record, just because it was kind of against all odds. And, who the hell gets back together that many years later and puts out a comeback record? And so for me, it meant a lot. So I felt like we wrote some pretty good stuff. I feel like we wrote a little faster back in the day. I think because we lived it 24/7. I mean, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Life hadn't quite taken over yet. There's a portion of your life where you get to, and it's like, now I have a house and you kid or something like that, and a family and everything, and so you have a mortgage and all that, and things become more about life, and I think when we wrote those first two records, we weren't really there yet. We were still kind of wild and crazy kids, and so it was 24/7 for us. So I think it was easier for us to produce faster. And maybe that's better. I don't know. But I don't know. That's a great question. I feel like a lot of it, like I said, I really like all the new stuff because it's fresh, but then you go back and you're like, man, we were on fire back then. And so a little of both, I guess.
Yeah, when you were younger too, you had a wealth of energy too. It was always, you could never tap it out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's amazing.
Tell me about what inspires you musically to write when you started and now when you have to sit down and write songs. Similar stuff?
Yeah, and I think it's kind of back in the day, man. It was just like full on energy. It felt like, there was something always just it was electric, you know what I mean? It was like there was always something coming out. It was just felt like, we were so just supercharged, with energy all the time, and we were always doing it. Now I just feel like it's a little more work, I guess, and not in a bad way. There's nothing wrong with that, but yeah. I hope I answered that. I don't know if I kind of...
I think you did, and when you look back, I have to believe you look back fondly on all those old recordings, and you move forward and you utilize some of those ideas and say, you know what, let's take this to another level. Does that get incorporated into the music too?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of times I kind of listen back, and I'm just impressed by, again, the energy and almost like a weird ferocity,
Yeah.
I think to myself, that would be great to capture that and modern, all together. So I have thought that very thing. So.
Oh, that's great. It's pretty insightful. Have you been using this lockdown time during the pandemic to write new music or do any recording?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I still pretty much I'm lucky I get to live most of my days, like I always did. I'm kind of an essential worker at what I do for my day job, so that's kind of cool. But, I think what it has done is it prevents people from doing a lot of their recreational stuff that they used to do. So I think, for me, I probably spend a little more time working on songs because, there's not a whole lot of other stuff to do. And that's good. In fact, we've been, working on stuff. We just had a whole weekend where the four of us were together, and we spent the last 4 days working on songs. So we're starting to kick them out.
That's great.
It's going.
So a little too far ahead to say when it'll be out or when it'll be completed?
Yeah. My feeling is it's probably going to be recorded in 2021.
Okay.
I know it won't be recorded in 2020 just because we're getting close to the end of 2020. But I'm going to say it's going to be recorded in 2021 and hopefully out in 2021. But no guarantees.
Yeah.
I know that's. So it seems like every time I say something, it gets pushed out or something. But we're taking our time and we're trying to make sure that we have quality songs. We feel like there's a bit of a legacy that we're responsible for, and we want our fans to love it, and we want to love it, and we also want to make World proud too. So
that's fantastic. Very insightful. Tell me about touring. When do you think the world will get back to normal for touring? Do you have any thoughts on that?
God, I hope it's soon. Yeah, we had a tour scheduled for late September and October. We would have just been coming home right about now, I guess. But we had to cancel that because of COVID, of course. And that was, we were going to do the whole Mirror Black album front to back. We have another tour. We have the exact same tour schedule planned for 2021. So we're doing Europe in September and October, and we're gonna try and do some U.S. stuff. Hopefully late spring, maybe early summer. And again, of course, that all depends upon COVID and everybody, getting through this okay, and which we of course hope. And we're hoping this will all be over because it's affected a lot of people. There's so many layers to this whole thing. It's it's not just the artists, which I'm sure are hurting as well, but think about all the vendors and the crew members and the people that run the venues, and the venue owners, and all that. It's just crazy,
Yeah,
So
it is sad.
We're hoping and praying everybody's still there, and comes through the end of it.
That's fantastic sentiment. That's fantastic. Well, listen, I really appreciate your time today. It was a really insightful and interesting interview. So thank you again. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. And come out and see us, when we get close there. You're in New Jersey?
Yes, I'm in New Jersey.
Yeah, if you see us playing somewhere, come out and say hi.
I certainly will. Thank you so much, Lenny, for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good day.